A cordial start to a high-stakes debate. The U.S. vice presidential candidates had a policy-heavy exchange as they approached the final stretch in the tight race for the White House. The televised debate was hosted by CBS News in New York, a Democratic stronghold and former home of Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. His running mate, Senator JD Vance from Ohio on the left, and on the right, Democratic vice presidential candidate Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. They began by tackling the Middle East, where Israel and Iran have fired missiles in an escalating crisis. Walz saying steady U.S. leadership, as exhibited by his running mate Vice President Kamala Harris, is what's needed now more than ever, not the volatility of the former president.
It's those that were closest to Donald Trump that understand how dangerous he is when the world is this dangerous. When our allies see Donald Trump turn towards Vladimir Putin, turn towards North Korea, when we start to see that type of fickleness around holding the coalitions together, we will stay committed.
Vance rebutted by pointing to Trump's, quote, effective deterrence from his time in office, also stating that a second Trump presidency would support Israel however it decides to defend itself.
Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. And look, it is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys.
The candidates this evening appearing more courteous than their running mates at the jab-heavy presidential debate 3 weeks ago. At times, they were even showing sympathy for the other amid debating hot-button issues like gun violence.
First of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. I'm sorry about that, and I hope that you're doing okay. So. Christ have mercy.
Despite the decorum, the differences in the candidates' perspectives were evident. On the economy, Vance blamed economists for weakening American trade against its competitors.
Governor, you say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that.
The senator also blaming the high cost of living on President Joe Biden's policies, which he pointedly called the Harris administration, painting the vice president as the primary decision maker. Meanwhile, his rival Walz, who has spent time in China, teaching there in '89 and later starting a program to bring American students over, said Trump would have benefited from such a trip.
Being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID, and I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing.
The Minnesota governor, though, who once claimed he'd been to China dozens of times, with his campaign later revising that it was closer to 15, was pressed about competing claims on whether he was in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square uprising in Beijing in June of '89. Walz saying he misspoke.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said.
All in all, a quick-moving debate on multiple domestic and foreign issues, with largely polite disagreements between the Midwestern candidates. Though VP debates generally don't make or break the election, in as tight of a race as this one, the slightest shift in public opinion could be decisive. James Lin and Joyce Tseng for TaiwanPlus.